Summer Reading 2020 for our students going into 7th and 8th grade. What is it? This summer, read a book recommended by a staff member or an ebook or audiobook of your choice. What if I don't like ebooks or audiobooks? Then read a regular book. It's okay. When you finish the book, reach out to the staff member via Schoology or email. Let us know what you thought and get a golden paw that will let you into any PBIS reward or activity or drawing at next year. Where can I get an ebook or an audiobook? You can find them in our Destiny Library catalog, in Teen Book Cloud, and at Baltimore County Public Library. If you need help getting to any of these resources, please email Miss Farrell or message her in Schoology. What should be in my message? Tell us what you thought about the book. What was your opinion? Do you like the characters? What did the story make you think about? Would you recommend the book? Why or why not? Questions or not sure who to message? If you have a question or you've read a book of your choice and you're not sure who to message, then message Mrs. Farrell or Miss Bonning. Mrs. Farrell's at AFARRELL@bcps.org and Miss Bonning is at KBONNING@bcps.org. Miss Goodnaris recommends The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This novel is about a teenage girl who grapples with racism, police brutality, and activism after witnessing her Black friend murdered by the police. This is a very powerful read for everyone and leaves you changed with the way you look at racism in our society. Email Miss Goodnaris at jgoodnaris@bcps.org. One of Us is Lying. Miss George, formerly Miss Whittemore, and Miss Michael both recommend One of Us is Lying. By Karen McManus. 5 students are in detention one afternoon, but only 4 of them come out alive. Who did it? Email Miss Michael at rmichael2@bcps.org or Miss Whittemore at rwhittemore@bcps.org. Fablehaven. Miss LaPlay recommends Fablehaven by Brandon Mule, a story about a brother and sister who stay with a grandfather they barely know while their parents go on vacation. While there, they drink some milk and a whole new world opens up around them. Seth is a little too curious and things go awry. Email Miss LaPlay at jlaplay@bcps.org. Code Talker. Mr. Wickman recommends Code Talker by Joseph Bruchac. According to Mr. Wickman, it's about Navajo code talkers during World War II. It follows the journey of one young man. It's about war, it's about Native American culture. I read it quickly, so I liked it. Email Mr. Wickman at mwickman@bcps.org. Stitches. Mr. Falk recommends Stitches, a memoir by David Small. Stitches is a touching true story of a young man's journey through trauma, family strife, and sickness to truly find himself. Email Mr. Falk at jfalk@bcps.org. Mr. Wise recommends Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. Told in a series of poems, Woodson explains what it was like growing up as an African-American girl in South Carolina and New York during the 1960s and 1970s, as she discovers her voice and herself through writing. Email Mr. Wise at kwise2@bcps.org. Mr. Wise also recommends Paper Towns by John Green. Quentin Jacobson is shocked when his neighbor and the girl he's always loved from afar, Margot Roth Spiegelman, climbs through his bedroom window one night, enlisting his help on a mission of revenge, to which he readily agrees. It's only when Margot disappears the next day, leaving little behind but a few scant clues, that Quentin begins to question if he knew his neighbor at all. Email Mr. Wise at kwise2@bcps.org. The Best at It. Mr. Wise also recommends The Best at It by Malik Panchaloy. This is a hilarious and heartfelt story about a gay Indian American boy coming into his own as he enters 6th grade in a small town in Indiana. Email Mr. Wise at kwise2@bcps.org. Ringer. Miss Johnson recommends Ringer by Jerry Spinelli. When boys in Palmerstown turn 10, they are expected to become ringers, ending the lives of pigeons wounded in a town event. Parker not only abhors the tradition, but he is also hiding a pigeon in his room, causing a moral dilemma. Email Miss Johnson at ljohnson13@bcps.org. Miss Hips recommends Jake Ransom and the Skull King's Shadow by James Rollins, a fantasy adventure. When a mysterious envelope arrives for Jake Ransom, he and his older sister, Katie, are plunged into a gripping chain of events. An artifact found by their parents on the expedition from which they never return leads Jake and Katie to a strange world inhabited by a peculiar mix of long-lost civilizations such as the Romans, Mayans, and the dinosaurs. A world that may hold the key to their parents' disappearance. Email Miss Hips at jhips@bcps.org. The Red Thread. Miss Knight recommends The Red Thread, a novel in 3 incarnations by Roderick Townley. It's sort of a mystery, time travel, and historical novel all wrapped up in one. A 16-year-old girl in modern times starts having dreams of the past and has to go back through 3 lifetimes to solve her own murder. Email Miss Knight at cnight3@bcps.org. Ghost Boys. Miss Long recommends Ghost Boys by Jewel Parker Rhodes. Ghost Boys is about 12-year-old Jerome who is shot by a police officer who mistakes his toy gun for a real threat and becomes a ghost. Email Miss Long at mlong@bcps.org. Miss Wade recommends Number of the Stars by Lois Lowry. This book tells of how a Protestant family takes in a Jewish girl and passes her off as their family. The story shows so much between the 2 girls who are friends, and to me, the friendship is what spoke out to me through all of the trials and fears. Email Miss Wade at mjoneswade@bcps.org. Counting by Sevens. Miss Smith recommends Counting by Sevens by Holly Goldberg Sloan. In this book, you'll read about a quirky, understatement, 12-year-old girl whose parents tragically die in a car crash. This isn't a spoiler. You can read about that on Amazon.com. What I love about this book is that the protagonist, Willow, isn't crushed by this tragedy. She finds out that life is what you make of it. Family is who you make it, and that's perfectly okay. I can relate to Willow because I was, and am, that quirky person whose parents divorced, didn't die, when I was in middle school. Although my life was turned upside down, I found that people who love you, they don't always have to be your parents. Email Miss Smith at asmith21@bcps.org. Throne of Glass. Miss Stack recommends Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is a great young adult fantasy novel that follows the journey of Selena Sardothian, a teenage assassin, takes on the corruption in the kingdom. I found myself immersed in this novel after the very first chapter and cheering on the main character. I loved following her through the dangers involved with becoming the king's assassin. This novel was an amazing introduction to a world of intrigue, magic, love, adventure, and destruction. Email Miss Stack at kstack@bcps.org. Sophie's World. Mr. D recommends Sophie's World, a novel about the history of philosophy by Justin Gardner. It is the story of a mysterious person sending packages to a teenage girl. The packages slowly and simply tell the story of the history of philosophy. Strange things happen in the life of the girl as she learns through the story. I liked it a lot. Email Mr. Dees at mds@bcps.org. Dicey's Song. Miss Bonning recommends Dicey's Song by Cynthia Voigt. When her mentally ill mother abandons Dicey and her 3 siblings in a mall parking lot, Dicey has to grow up fast. This book is set on Maryland's Eastern Shore, and I absolutely loved it when I was younger. Email Miss Bonning at kbonning@bcps.org. Clean Getaway. Miss Farrell recommends Clean Getaway by Nick Stone. It is by the same author as Dear Martin. Williams, aka Scoob's grandmother surprises him by stopping by his house in an RV and takes him on a trip that she and his grandfather never got to finish years before. Scoob and his grandmother have a hilarious journey. Although Scoob wonders about weird things his grandmother is doing, the story is lighthearted and fun, but tells of segregation, racism, and the fact that it was illegal for Scoob's grandparents to get married. Email Miss Farrell at afarrell@bcps.org. Miss Farrell also recommends When by Victoria Lowry. Maddie can see the date people are going to die on their foreheads. At the beginning of the book, she tells a mom that her son is going to die the next week. Mom gets upset, but doesn't really believe her until her son comes up missing the next week. The police begin investigating Maddie as she predicts more young people will end up dead. Maddie is not killing these children, but who is? Email Miss Farrell at afarrell@bcps.org. Miss Farrell also recommends The Dogs by Alan Stratton. Cameron is used to moving at a moment's notice because he and his mother are always running away from his supposedly violent father. But he is disturbed by their latest refuge, a creepy deserted farmhouse haunted by bloodthirsty dogs. And when he sees a boy hiding in the barn and finds an old picture of the same boy, he starts wondering about the possibilities of human ghosts. Email Ms. Farrell at afarrell@bcps.org. And if you need any other recommendations for books, make sure to email Ms. Farrell at afarrell@bcps.org. Happy reading, everyone!